For eons, the villagers and the illagers have fought relentlessly. Yet, on one sunny morning, in the early spring, a surprising twist unfolded. The once echoing battlegrounds, where clashes had once resounded, now witnessed a fragile peace settling over the land, as a ceasefire had been declared, and the possibility of universal harmony seemed to grasp at the hearts of the suffering inhabitants. Finally, the war was ending, and everyone was excited for the prospect of peace. Well, maybe not everyone. Hidden in the corners of prosperity, a secret gathering transpired. A meeting of the most influential minds on the overworld that promised to reshape everything. Within a dimly lit chamber, the obscured figures began to gather. Among them were the architects of this destruction, manufacturers supplying the illagers with their lethal weaponry, and the magnates of the iron mines that fueled the villagers' army of iron golems. And so, though the world yearned for peace, these figures had a different plan. War was not merely a clash of ideologies. No, it was a lucrative enterprise and a source of immeasurable wealth. And so, in this covert assembly, where allegiances were blurred, the wealthiest among them devised a plan to prolong this war and safeguard their riches. And so, resources were pooled, and a grand manipulation was set in motion, as they were going to make sure that this war never ended. Now, bribery became their weapon of choice, as these wealthy elites began to pay off the once noble leaders of the villager armies and villager forces, urging them to continue fighting for the reward of great riches. With nods and handshakes, these shadowy figures solidified their unholy pacts, with the battles starting back up. The ceasefire was cancelled. War had returned, and the clash of swords and arrows resumed with a heightened intensity. Each day saw the pockets of these puppeteers grow heavier and heavier with ill-gotten gains. The weapons industry flourished as iron mines extracted the wealth from the world, and the art of war became an ever more profitable enterprise by the day. The Minecraft world, once on the verge of harmony, now found itself ensnared in a web of greed and deception. In the heart of this shadowy conspiracy, the puppeteers reveled in their successes. They watched on as their chests overflowed, their wealth multiplying with every swing of a sword and the thunderous roars of the manipulated armies. The once proud civilizations were reduced to mere pawns. They fought on, oblivious to the puppet strings controlling their destiny. The war between villagers and illagers, once thought to be a mere clash of ideologies, had become a puppet show orchestrated by the greed of a few. And so, the Minecraft world, caught in the grip of unseen manipulators, continue to writhe in the throes of this conflict. The manipulated armies fought on, unaware of the tangled web that they were ensnared in. As the war's relentless symphony persisted, the corrupt leaders found themselves addicted to the success of their secret dealings, and so their secret meetings became a ritual, a dark symphony of whispers in their shadow chambers, and in the hushed corridors of power, a revelation dawned upon them. They could further extend their unholy alliance and multiply their emerald gains further, as there were just so many more factors of this war that they could corrupt and control. The prospect of even greater riches fueled their ambitions as they embarked on a campaign of insidious propaganda. Their goal was to twist the minds of all of those fighting, to deceive them into believing that they were choosing to fight and that this war was all their fault. Over the next few years, the villagers, once hopeful for peace, were now manipulated into a deep hatred for the Illagers. Their newfound animosity allowed the corrupt rulers of those villages to grant for the allocation of even more resources towards the relentless pursuits of their enemies. While unknowingly to the villagers, this was not ending the war. No, it was just deepening the pockets of those secret factory owners. And simultaneously to that, the Illagers were also subjected to a similar manipulation, as propaganda fueled the flames of their hearts, redirecting the focus towards the villagers as the source of all their woes. The Illager leaders too willingly poured as much of their resources into that war, further lining the pockets of those hidden puppeteers. As the years passed, the secret puppeteers reveled in their ever-growing success. Their manipulation had transformed the Minecraft world into a cauldron of hate and perpetual conflict. Money flowed like a river into their secret vaults, and the leaders, once driven by individual greed, found themselves drawn together by a shared objective. Despite their differing origins, they forged an unspoken group, a cult of greed, bound together by their desires for more power and control. These leaders, once faceless orchestrators of chaos, became a close-knit circle. Their meetings evolved from mere transactions into gatherings of evil spirits. United by the pursuit of wealth, they formed an alliance that transcended the boundaries of species. Trust flourished among them, an unspoken understanding that their destinies were intertwined in this dance of manipulation and deceit. The puppeteers, now a cult of greed, pulled the strings that dictated the fate of nations. The war, fueled by hatred and greed, raged on. The once noble ideals of the villagers and Illagers were now overshadowed by the insidious influence of these puppeteers. As the shadowy leaders' wealth and power grew, their influence extended rapidly, reaching into the highest echelons of authority. They became the architects of corruption, masters of a world dancing to their malevolent tune. Both sides of this war were now under their control, manipulated by strings woven by the fabric of greed. With their wealth overflowing like never before, the puppeteers began to yearn for more than just wealth, as they all began to crave one thing: immortality, a perpetual existence that would allow them to revel in their riches for all of eternity. But to achieve this, they would need to delve into realms previously thought of as impossible. In their corrupted laboratories, hidden from the prying eyes of the world, the puppeteers embarked on a journey of experimentation. Their insatiable desire to prolong their rule over the Minecraft world fueled a relentless pursuit of knowledge. And with their endless vaults of wealth, they had the resources to attempt to find the answer to their goals. And so, after decades of tireless efforts and billions of emeralds spent, they achieved the unthinkable. they learned how to mine obsidian, an act that was once believed to be beyond the capabilities of mere mortals. This revelation sent waves of satisfaction through the evil group, as this was their first step in achieving immortality. As obsidian, a mysterious and seemingly impenetrable stone, now lay at their disposal, they continued their experiments, unraveling the secrets of the dark material and attempting to use it to grant themselves eternal life. Now, rather quickly, they discovered how to fashion suits from obsidian, an attire that cloaked them in an ominous shadow, rendering them both imposing and anonymous. However, these obsidian suits not only granted them an aura of dread, but also bestowed a near invulnerability upon the puppeteers. The stone's resilience made them almost entirely resistant to harm, further solidifying their control over the Minecraft world, as it would be almost impossible to kill them now. Yet, although this was a giant leap forward, immortality remained unreached. They were closer now, but technically, they could still die. But, undeterred by that, the puppeteers continue to funnel their vast wealth into ever more ambitious experiments. And so, their laboratories buzzed with activity as they sought the elixir for endless life. A demonic concoction that would defy the natural order. The Minecraft world, oblivious to the dark metamorphosis occurring behind the scenes, continued to spiral into chaos as the fighting continued. The puppeteers, now clad in obsidian, wielded power beyond imagination as the war that they fueled raged on. Their insatiable hunger for wealth and immortality drove them to push the boundaries of what was deemed possible. As their demonic meetings continued, the puppeteers' power flourished, casting an ever-deepening shadow over the cursed world. The war between the villagers and the illagers, fueled by their manipulative schemes, escalated into an endless storm of aggression. Emeralds flowed endlessly, funding not only the continuation of this war, but also the relentless research for immortality. The puppeteers, their eyes fixated on the goal of immortality, spared no expense in their pursuit of dark knowledge. When, finally, after several years, they had a breakthrough. Deep within the depths of the Minecraft world, an enigmatic white orb revealed itself to the puppeteers' probing experiments. It pulsated with an otherworldly energy, a potential gateway to the immortality that they craved. A sense of anticipation hung in the air as the puppeteers gathered around that mysterious orb, their eyes gleaming with greed. Many experiments were then hastily conducted, each trial revealing a fragment of the orb's mystical powers. A decision was made amongst the members of the greedy cult. They were going to use this power right now, as the time had come. And so, each puppeteer took a shard of this otherworldly orb, its glow pulsating with energy. And in a dark ritual, they thrust the shards into their eyes and willingly hurled themselves into molten lava. They screamed out in agony and pain as the crystal began to infuse into their souls. They needed this pain and heat for the change to be fulfilled. The world held its breath like never before. as the puppeteers emerged from the fiery depths, changed. Their eyes now radiated with the haunting, subscribed white hue, and their arms had become invisible. But most importantly, these once mortal beings had transcended, becoming powerful, immortal entities that would now be known as the Obsidianites. No longer bound by the laws of nature of the Minecraft world, the Obsidianites wielded unimaginable power. With a mere thought, they can now shatter obsidian, the very stone that once symbolized their wealth and influence. And their eyes now granted them the power of X-ray vision. They were the epitome of immortality, and their transformation marked a new era in the puppeteers' dark reign. The Obsidianites, 15 of the richest beings within the overworld, now stood as oligarchs, hidden puppet masters manipulating the strings of fate. Almost no one knew of their existence, and those that did were already ensnared in a web of their corrupted, malevolent influence. The world continued to spin in chaos, unaware that the true architects of its destiny had become godlike beings, and their ambitions now transcended mortal limitations. The Obsidianites, now wielding godlike power, continued their sinister reign over the Minecraft world. Corruption and bribery allowed them to tighten their grip on the ruling class, making puppets of the leaders across the land. As the war between the villagers and the illagers raged on, so did the swelling of the Obsidianites' wealth and influence. The freedoms of the once autonomous villagers and illagers began to dwindle, replaced by a relentless demand for manpower and resources. Forced into servitude for the never-ending war effort orchestrated by that cult, both factions found themselves enslaved to a cause that only served the insatiable desires of their puppet masters. The Obsidianites, shrouded in the mystery of their obsidian suits, orchestrated a carefully crafted narrative, manipulating the illagers to harbour a false, vile hatred for the villagers, and vice versa. The animosity, once a mere tool for profit, now festered in the hearts of the warring factions. Nothing was going to remove this anger. They will forever be at war. And so, under the watchful eyes of the Obsidianites, the villagers and the illagers toiled ceaselessly, their lives dedicated to a war that was, in reality, nothing more than a grand illusion. The Obsidianites controlled every aspect of that war machine, their influence reaching into every village and illager mansion. As the centuries unfolded, the Obsidianites' wealth and power grew exponentially. They became masters of manipulation, convincing both sides to perpetuate the conflicts that lined their vaults. The illusion of war was a reality for the citizens of the Minecraft world, a reality manufactured by the Obsidianites to ensure their everlasting dominion. As the millennia rolled by, the Obsidianites, amassing wealth and time, became not only the wealthiest, but also the most knowledgeable beings in the overworld. as their insatiable curiosity had led them to delve deeper into the depths of their digital realm, unlocking secrets and acquiring wisdom that surpassed mere mortal comprehension. In addition to their immense knowledge, the Obsidianites honed their combat skills, spending countless years perfecting war techniques in preparation for any eventuality. But despite their godlike powers, they practiced diligently, their obsidian-clad figures moving with a fluidity that betrayed their seemingly immovable stature. It was a spectacle of prowess and malevolence, their experiments driven by an unquenchable thirst for power had granted them extraordinary abilities. However, on one fateful day, as their X-ray vision pierced through the layers of stone and soil, the Obsidianites stumbled upon a mysterious underground chamber. Unlike anything that they had ever encountered before, it was ancient, and it was constructed from a combination of copper and an unfamiliar stone that resonated with a strange energy. Intrigued by this newfound discovery, the Obsidianites mined their way to the chamber's depths. Now, the air was thick with the weight of ages as they explored the deserted halls. But the structure, abandoned and enigmatic, drew them in with its allure. Copper adorned the chamber, a metal that the Obsidianites cherished. The unfamiliar stone, though cool to the touch, seemed to hold secrets that were waiting to be unraveled. Their eyes widened with curiosity and greed as they investigated every nook and cranny within the depths of this ancient chamber. The Obsidianites stumbled upon strange mob spawners, forgotten remnants of an era long gone. A sinister grin crossed their obsidian-clad faces as they recognized an opportunity for further training. They activated the spawners, and the underground chamber echoed with the roars of rare, formidable foes. For countless cycles, they engaged in fierce combat, honing their skills against these challenging adversaries. The Obsidianites, ever hungry for more power and mastery, cleared the mob-infested rooms in mere minutes, leaving no trace of their adversaries. Satisfied with their training, they then departed, leaving the chamber in silence once more. Yet, when they returned to those mysterious rooms, just a few hours later, the spawners defied logic as mobs once eradicated now emerged anew. The challenge intensified, for these were no ordinary creatures. No, they were rare, powerful, and elusive, posing a perpetual test of the Obsidianites' combat prowess. The ancient chamber had become a proving ground, an eternal challenge that both fascinated and thrilled the godlike beings. The Obsidianites reveled in the thrill of the trial chambers, each encounter with the elusive mobs further sharpening their combat skills. And so, they spent countless hours within the underground chamber, relishing the challenge that seemed to defy the very fabric of their godlike existence. The history of this place now intertwined with their training. And so, amidst the clash of swords and the eerie echoes of battle, the Obsidianites brought with them the vast treasure troves of emeralds they had amassed over the eons. in a bid to immortalize their achievements and maintain the legacy of this mysterious realm. They began to place their spoils into ornate pots. However, as their strength grew and their skills reached unparalleled heights, whispers suddenly reached the Obsidianites of a strange red crystal that had crashed down from the heavens. Rumors spread like wildfire, claiming that this crystal possessed special powers and even the potential to end the immortal existence of beings as powerful as the Obsidianites. And so, intrigued by the prospect of a force that could challenge their immortality, they swiftly spread the word that their crystal was deadly to touch. Their grasp over the world proved itself, as that simple message was heard and observed, because by the time that they arrived at the crash sites, the red crystal remained untouched. A mysterious beacon, shimmering with unfathomable power. Approaching with caution, the Obsidianites inspected the crystal, their eyes widening with awe and disbelief. This was not just a crystal. No, it was a fragment from a god's creation. The revelation hung in the air. A palpable energy that resonated with the godlike beings. Unable to resist the allure of such divine power, the Obsidianites dared themselves to touch the crystal. As their obsidian hands made contact, an electrifying surge coursed through their veins. They could feel the power of the god intertwining with their own. A fusion that transcended the limitations of their immortality. The red crystal, now a conduit for unimaginable power, cast an otherworldly glow upon their dark figures. In that singular moment, the Obsidianites had not only conquered the trials of the underground chamber, but had also forged a connection with a divine force that promised to reshape the very fabric of their existence. Now the Obsidianites sought to conduct more experiments on that mysterious red crystal, and so they carefully lifted it from its crash site and began the journey back to their ancient chamber. 11 of the godlike beings carried the crystal, its energy pulsating beneath their arms, while the other 4 forged ahead in order to prepare their base for the arrival of this divine creation. But days later, and deep within a dense jungle, the advance party found themselves caught in the onset of the nightly rain. A tempest of darkness and water descended upon the jungle, shrouding the area in an eerie ambiance. It was in this moment, amidst the rhythmic drumming of raindrops and the haunting calls of unseen creatures, that a group of phantoms materialized. To these Obsidianites, the appearance of the phantoms was not a threat, but instead an opportunity. They relished challenges, and so these ghostly creatures provided a perfect outlet for their godlike prowess. As the phantoms circled overhead, the Obsidianites, shimmering in their glow of their obsidian suits, prepared for battle. In a symphony of crushing arrows and crackling energy, the Obsidianites engaged the phantoms with unparalleled skill and precision. They killed their ghostly beings one by one, until only a single phantom remained. This lone creature, however, proved to be a far more formidable force than its counterparts, resisting their assaults with an otherworldly resistance. Undeterred, the Obsidianites held together, their eyes gleaming with determination. In a display of their newfound powers, they cast a spell upon the resilient phantom. As the effects took hold, the creature's movements began to slow as it descended into a restful slumber. Seeing an opportunity to harness this unusual specimen for their experiments, those Obsidianites made a collective decision. They were going to bring him back, and so they carefully secured the sleeping phantom and intended to use its unique abilities and unwavering resilience in their upcoming trials, as it seemed like a good entity to train on. And so, with this stronger phantom in tow, they resumed their journey back to their base. The dense jungle canopy provided cover for their mysterious cargo. And so, a few days later, the Obsidianites, their minds ablaze with the subscribe button and anticipation, arrived at their base. And as they placed the creature down, they walked away, leaving it to its slumber while they prepared for the imminent arrival of that godly crystal. Soon, the other Obsidianites joined them, the red crystal being safely secured not too far away. And so, while that crystal was stabilizing, they resumed with their trials, their combat skills honing to perfection. Now, in a quick and brutal display of their prowess, they killed that stronger phantom with relative ease, its ghostly form dissipating within the ancient chamber. And as the weeks passed by, they started to alternate between battling the mobs within the chamber and conducting experiments on that godly crystal. The base hummed with energy, the air thick with anticipation. But then, one morning, as they were preparing to battle the mobs once more, a low hum began to echo throughout the chamber, and the red crystal began to glow with an otherworldly brilliance. In their vast expanse of their knowledge, the Obsidianites understood the significance of this luminous transformation. An event of cosmic proportions was on the horizon. A ripple of unease passed through their obsidian figures as they exchanged wary glances. Sensing an impending shift in the very fabric of their existence, the Obsidianites made a grave decision. They gathered all the emeralds that they possessed, a symbol of their immense power and wealth, and then they ascended to the surface. It was a farewell to the trial chambers, a place that had witnessed the birth of their godlike abilities. The ominous weight of that decision hung in the air as they left the underground realm. The ancient chamber, once vibrant with the clash of swords and the hum of their experiments, fell back into an unsettling silence. The Obsidianite suits now tingled with an air of mystery, for they knew that they would never return. For the time was now. The crystal was revealing its true power and intent. The legends that they had learned over the years were coming into fruition, and they were about to experience something that no other being ever had in the history of the overworld. But before we can learn what happened next, we first need to look back at their base. The ancient chamber, now abandoned, stood silent. It was empty now, and it would remain that way for thousands of years to come. Well, except for the fact that strong phantom that they had brought here that they thought they had easily been able to kill never actually died, as it had evaded all of their attacks and had hid in the shadows. And so, he would be the start of a transformation that would shake the world like never before. And so, to learn what happened next, you'll need to watch this video.